Imagine a world where governments are not supporting nuclear energy and instead are favoring their old reliable fossil fuels despite coming with the destruction of the planet. Sure, maybe some of them are supporting the rise of renewable energy sources like wind or solar power, etc. But those alone aren't enough. The wind isn't always blowing, the sun isn't always shining. Governments need to support nuclear energy instead of always dismissing it as too dangerous. In this speech, I will show you how nuclear energy needs to be supported and subsidized by governments in order for it to be used as a major source of power around the world. Now, let me do a few definitions first. What is nuclear power? This is like using nuclear fuel and radioactive elements to provide power. Very small amounts are needed for this. 1.5 ounces of uranium can be enough to power a house for over a decade today. It is enriched to provide a power source in nuclear reactors and is a clean source of energy with little emissions. Also note that modern day nuclear reactors are much safer than those in the past, and accidents are quite negligible nowadays. Now, what does this government support look like? This looks like subsidizing nuclear power sources as well as providing benefits to users of this energy. Also, this can look like the government promoting nuclear energy in several sites around the country and providing regulations for these nuclear reactors. Now, let me move on to my arguments. On to the first argument, onto a low emission energy source. Nuclear power does not pollute, and thus is a sustainable source for the future. This can help us reduce our emissions that we have from fossil fuels. This also reduces our dependence on polluting power sources like coal, oil, and natural gas. Like fossil fuels, radioactive materials are also found in the earth, but with the major difference that they don't have carbon emissions and thus are clean and good for the environment. This will significantly reduce the emissions and pollutions in the country, and if this were widespread among several governments, it would help reduce global warming too. On to my second argument on energy security. Nuclear power can also help countries secure their energy well rather than importing oil and coal from foreign countries. Obviously, this is bad. It increases the dependence on other countries which are importing that fuel to them. Radioactive elements are relatively rare but widespread, and they can be found in most large and major countries in the world, and even like a few smaller ones. In other words, it's widespread and not concentrated in a few regions around the world like oil and coal. After all, oil is mainly found in like the northern tundra of Canada and Russia and the Middle East. It's concentrated in certain pockets of area. It's not widespread. This can allow lots of countries to get energy security and not having to rely on foreign imports to sustain their energy. Plus, it doesn't take a lot of fuel to provide power. You need a small fraction of the amount of coal near to power city with uranium. This can increase energy dependence in countries whose governments support nuclear power. On to my third argument, provides more regulated power than other renewables. Other sources of renewable energy like wind, hydropower, and solar are also non-polluting. However, a lot of these sources are not constant and can be easily disrupted. So, solar power doesn't work at night. The wind can stop blowing, and rivers originating in different countries can be reduced of their flow in case of conflict. These are some reasons why governments are reluctant to switch to renewable energy. However, nuclear power provides the best of both worlds. It is non-polluting and has no emissions. Also, it is constant and cannot be interfered with as easily as other renewables can. Think of it like a non-polluting coal. This provides more regulated power sources and secures a constant source of power that cannot be meddled with by nature. Argument for more job opportunities. In wind, solar power, etc., there's less scope for job opportunities. So you might have some services, but other than that, that's that. In nuclear energy, you have lots of people at one station regulating power. This provides more jobs for everyone, allowing the population to progress. So opposition might try and argue that nuclear reactors are dangerous and there could be a loss of lives. But let me say that modern day nuclear reactors are much safer than those of the 50s and 60s. Accidents today are rare, and in the unlikely event that they do occur, evacuation procedures and safety measures are very advanced. In conclusion, I've shown you how nuclear power should be supported by governments for the betterment of our country and earth as a whole. With this, I would like to rest my case. Thank you.